audio. Yeah, audio's good. Audio's good. Audio's good. All right, let's see if we got a Nigel.
Yo, we not delaying.
Yeah,
Yo,
no, we're not delaying. We're not delaying.
yo,
Yeah, mic check.
come on.
Mic check. Mic
I
check.
hear
You
you.
got
You
me?
hear me?
I got you, bro.
I got you.
You got me?
Hey, man, I got you. Get him
Okay.
in here, man.
All right.
Get him in here.
All
Get him
right.
in here. Let's get it.
All right. Good, good, good. We got some action now. Hey, look, I'm sorry everyone. I apologize. There was some technical difficulties. I don't even know what to attribute it towards. But at the end of the day, the old reboot trick worked, and we're back in the game. Welcome in, everyone. We are on YouTube. We are streaming live on YouTube. Eventually, I keep saying it to folks, but we're going to get this thing going on LinkedIn. I haven't quite figured it out. I did accept that director level role. I did accept that director level role, y'all. So we're going through that. Take me through there. So
Oh my.
uh
This guy.
big things going on. I'm so glad to have Nigel in. He's a friendly. He's been here multiple times. He's always dropping game. He's always delivering high quality content. And he has been a guest here before. He was on a battle. I think he won that battle. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure, but it's always a tight race between the certifications and those diplomas. It's always a tight race. All right. With that, we're gonna get the party started. We're not gonna waste any time because I know you have several nuggets to drop. We got Nigel in the building. Nigel, as people are rolling in here, DJ BSEC, welcome in. What's up, Johnny? What's up, Francium, Hamza, Angelique? Y'all welcome in, welcome in. Y'all get this forwarded out to people who not only want to learn about cybersecurity or even CTI, but probably need to learn about cybersecurity and need to hear from Mr. CTI himself. We got Nigel, y'all. Go ahead, bro. Hit us with it.
Yo. I need everyone in the chat right now. Everyone got to repost. Repost, double tap the live. Repost, double tap the live. My goal today is to make everyone a CTI practitioner. You are going to leave this live a CTI practitioner, but you got to share it. You got to share it. You got to double tap. We got to make more people confident and be able to understand what cyber threat intelligence is. We have to share and double tap the live. Let's help more people. Let's not be keepers and hoard the information. Let's share it with others so others can be empowered as well. But I'm glad to be here, Nate, man. You know I'm gonna do what I do, and it is what it is at the end of the day. You feel me?
Yeah, no, I got you. I just want to say, folks, if you're gonna share this out, be strategic. Like you want folks who are needing the information, that are wanting the information. They may not even know it, but you should look through your Rolodex, what they say, press and hold on my face on the screen, and that'll pull up all of the people that you have recently been in touch with. You can tap on them, or you can specifically search for someone of interest to you. Yank them in here, get them in here, and let's have some dialogue. So, bro, can you just start CTI for the folks who are just like, what's that stand for? Can you give us a high level introduction, and then you can lead into a spiel? We can take it in multiple directions. I can punch you with questions, all sorts of things, different
Yeah,
directions.
100%. I just urge everyone, let's double tap, let's share the live. So the question was, what is cyber threat intelligence or CTI? Right? Let me give some background. Cyber threat intelligence did not start with security or cybersecurity. What happened was traditional intelligence practices morphed or expanded into the digital landscape. So what do I mean by that? I'm going to give you guys a history lesson. I tell y'all are going to leave this conversation a CTI practitioner. You will. So take your notes and listen and ask important questions that I can answer. So cyber threat intelligence started from traditional intelligence. So think government and military. They started with 3 core questions, right? What are our adversaries capable of? What are they intending to do? And are we vulnerable to these adversaries? This goes back to World War II. It goes back to the Cold War. All of those different periods of time, intelligence was used to understand our adversaries, right? Agencies, I don't have to name them, but think your 3-letter agencies, right? They used intelligence and then morphed it into this intelligence life cycle, right? Where it's evidence-based, it's structured, and source validation is very important, right? Stay with me, everyone. Stay with me. So now, CTI, what is it? Just like most other cybersecurity functions, they have like a program or a life cycle. So what the cyber threat intelligence life cycle is, right? It starts with direction. What decision are we supporting, right? Then it moves to collection. Now we're gathering the data. We're doing the reconnaissance. We're peeking around to see what kind of telemetry or reporting that we can get on our adversaries. Then we are going to process, normalize that data, right? Because remember, intelligence is the output or the final stage of what data and information turns into. Data and information is not intelligence. It's the output of what that is, right? So going back to the life cycle, once we have our direction, we collect and then we process it. Now we're going to analyze that information and data, right? So we're going to identify patterns and estimate a word we like to use called likelihood, right? Likely. What is a likelihood that this specific attack or technique could happen at our organization or company? So after we analyze it, that's what we have to do. We got to give it to someone. So we're going to disseminate that information, right? Deliver the structured intelligence to the stakeholder that it makes sense to. And then the final stage of that life cycle will be the feedback. We need to understand and refine our intelligence to make sure it makes sense for the stakeholder. That is the intelligence life cycle, right? So just think, to sum it up, because I'm going to make everything simple. If the intelligence doesn't change a decision, it's not intelligence. We're just collecting data and information. We are to inform and make stakeholders make better decisions. That is our function, not to be the SME and know all these different things and be in the tool and create all the Splunk queries and SPL queries. No, we are there to help others make better decisions.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's fire. The life cycle is fire. It's tried. It's proven. Now is that something that is out there in the ether based on some other framework a framework that's out there, or does it interconnect with some of the different frameworks that we use and live and breathe by today?
Well, yeah. Let's yes, to answer your question. So think about it. What decision are you think of it in your life? Think of the life cycle as your life. Each day you have to make a decision on what you're going to do. Then you're going to collect information or gather your thoughts. Then you're going to process that information, analyze it, and then the dissemination is going to be the output of that decision or thought that you acted on. And then the feedback could be like, hey, Nate, that decision I just made, was it smart or dumb? I just gave you the CTI life cycle like that. That is what that is. Now, I explained it very concise and in layman terms, but I can let me give you an analogy, right? So think let me see. Think of I'm going to give you weather forecasting, right? This is an easy one. Think of a SOC analyst. They are the windshield wipers, right? Of the car. They react when the rain hits the glass. The SOC is reactive in the security landscape or the ecosystem. SOC analysts, the security operations center, react to events and alerts. Threat hunters are the storm chasers. They're going to go look for what hurricane or what is about to happen, or is it, and they're also going to investigate inside the storm. Are we seeing any relevancy or remnants of that storm currently? CTI, cyber threat intelligence, we are the meteorologists. We are the meteorologists. We study and understand the pressure systems, the wind direction, the historical storm paths. And then we don't wait for the rain. We're not reactive, we're proactive. We're going to go understand the different storms that happened in the past that could potentially happen in the future and how it's going to affect that specific city or state. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot with the the emerging threats and AI getting introduced. It all sounds like a lot to have your arms wrapped around. Is that true, or is it much simpler than that? Than what I'm thinking?
Oh, great question. So the beautiful and most important thing about cyber threat intelligence is that obviously there's a lot of information out in the ecosystem, right? The main key component that some CTI analysts struggle with is that cyber threat intelligence or the intel has to be relevant to your organization. If I'm in healthcare and I see certain threats and our tech stack or our ecosystem is not familiar or similar to someone in aviation, I am not collecting or keeping up to date with aviation intel. It does nothing for me unless our ecosystems cross, our tech stacks are similar, or we're seeing different campaigns interacting with our sector. So our scope or what we call intelligence requirements are very fine tuned to our organization, our tech stack, our crown jewels, our business critical systems. Those are the things that we gather intel on, well, data and information, and turn into intelligence. So yes, with the to answer your question, with the use of AI and automation, right? Because that's all AI is. It's a tool. We are able to collect that data and analyze it quicker. Now, just like everyone knows, AI is not going to take my job because I still have to, and there still has to be a way to give the AI context, right? Context, delivery. There's many other facets, but it will help collect the information and analyze and swift through it quicker with those tools. So it's a addition to the tool set.
I like that. Let me reset the room real quick. Everyone, you know how we do it. We welcome folks up from emerging people in the space, also to people who are established. We want you to come up, ask your questions. We want you to be inquisitive, be vulnerable, and get uncomfortable. And try to get comfortable being uncomfortable, asking questions and trying to figure things out. Welcome in Cyber Secrets. Welcome in that Cyber Girl. Several other people I see in here. Cyber MB, multiple people that I'm recognizing. Welcome in,
What
every.
up?
Well, we appreciate you showing up and really appreciate the participation. Whether that's through the chat, we'll try to get through to it. What's up, Meow? Or if you want to come up and interface with Nigel and I, or even share some information. So Nigel, you mentioned that. When it comes to the different industry verticals, that's a relevant point. But as we dive deeper into, let's say, the aviation example, but one's a big organization, enterprise level, and then one's a smaller, mid-size
Yeah.
environment. Is there still much differences there, or is it the same
Oh man.
situation?
Beautiful question. You killing it, Nate. You killing it. I gotta pause though. Everyone, double tap the live and share it. We gotta help people. I need everyone in here to leave a CTI practitioner. If you're in help desk, you work at Walmart, Burger King, tomorrow you need to go into your job and say, I am a cyber threat intel practitioner because I learned from the best. You are getting all the information that most, if not all, I'll say most CTI analysts know. It's out there. I'm going to help you and simplify it for you.
Before you get,
Now,
yeah, I was gonna say, before you tackle my question, that's very dangerous what you just did there, because once you empower someone, once they become activated, I call it, they might not ever look back. They might not ever look back at Burger King, and they may only move forward with that new knowledge. Please
they,
proceed.
they ain't got no they ain't got no choice. X, what's up, man? I see you came up. What's up? What's up? So
What's up,
you
man? How y'all doing?
I'm living good, man. I'm living good.
That's right.
All right, so Peace. He asked about enterprise level between the different sectors. The answer is no. I'm gonna break it down even better. Think of it from CTI in government and then CTI in enterprise. CTI or government uses CTI to think of it, they track adversary infrastructure globally to protect our critical infrastructure, right? So governments deal or use CTI to attribute or track nation state operations. Think your APTs, advanced persistent threats. They are highly funded, highly capable, and if they start rocking or you see remnants, just know y'all ain't going home. Y'all working 24/7 until y'all are cooked. So just know from a government standpoint, CTI is used more at the nation state critical infrastructure level. Enterprises,
My bad.
companies, how they use CTI is they want to understand, are we exposed? Do we have detection coverage? Should we prioritize these vulnerabilities? How does this risk affect our security posture? Are we in the storm? Those are how CTI is used at the enterprise level, because without CTI at the enterprise level, and I'm going to make this very clear, cyber threat intelligence is a luxury now becoming a need and a must have at companies. Not every company has a CTI team. That is a fact. But I can say this pretty confidently. If your company does not have a CTI team, they are reacting to everything. They are reacting to the alerts. The SOC is just getting drowned by all these freaking alerts that they're getting. But with CTI, guess what? They become more proactive and they get to prioritize their defenses. You see the difference? If you don't have a CTI team, the SOC is just like every day, just calling, I'm knocking out 30 alerts in the SIM, and boom, 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 EDR, boom, boom, boom. But with CTI, hey, we're seeing this campaign based off communications with the different ISACs. We've noticed and tracked this campaign that has been hitting different companies in our sector. You should be on the lookout. We have IOCs, indications of compromise, domains, IP addresses, file hashes, things that you can put in and monitor for, so the minute it comes up, you know that came from CTI, that is suspicious or malicious, and you need to take action. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah,
Oh
oh
yeah,
yeah.
100%. And then on. Oh, my bad. You were trying to
No,
say something, bro.
I was just agreeing. Go ahead, Meow. You got it.
All right. And yeah, that's another thing too. Not only do companies, enterprises, and stuff need CTI, but they also need active and proactive cyber intelligence. because that's another arm of the life cycle, right? Cyber intelligence, these are the guys that go into these threat actor comms, going in to their public channels, tracing all those public channels, seeing their campaigns, who they're actively targeting, what they're actively targeting, where they're targeting, and what kind of TTPs that they're using in those campaigns, right? Yeah, exactly what Patty was talking about, actionable intelligence. So they can gather that intelligence and pipe it into the CTI team and the SOC, so on and so forth, to proactively monitor and block, these threats. On top of that, a proactive firewall, right? Actually, I'm deving one currently, but it's essentially just gathering these malicious IPs, malicious domains from these open threat databases, and then just creating rules in your firewall IP tables block set to where you can drop immediately connections to these domains or connections to these endpoints to prevent malicious or data from leaving the system. On top of that, people need to start integrating proactive and file integrity monitors such as AIDE to check these file hashes for changes and so on and so forth, to do alerts on such, you know.
1000%. And thank you for saying that. I appreciate you going in the weeds a little bit. I'm gonna take a step back for everyone in the chat and speak at a little high level, right? Let's talk about the different, or the let me say, the inside security operations, right? You have the SOC. The SOC, if you don't know, for people in the chat, monitors, alerts, and investigates suspicious activity. That is their definition. That is what they do. Incident response investigates and typically contains breaches, right? Threat hunting proactively searches logs for hidden malicious behavior, while detection engineering builds the detection logic in systems like a SIM to look for that malicious or suspicious behavior, right? And then you have tools like a SIM that aggregates the logs, and EDR that monitors the endpoints for the behavior of the malicious activity. How CTI feeds into the operation, so how practitioners like myself integrate or collaborate with those teams I just mentioned, we will help with the detection rule creation. We can give you signals and campaign and IOCs that have been seen from other organizations or from the tracking that we've done with the adversaries to make sure your tool and your rule isn't just a whole bunch of noise. Does that make sense? From a threat hunting perspective, instead of you waking up, drinking your coffee and saying, oh, I'm gonna go look for a needle in a haystack, I can guide you to where we're seeing activity relevant to our organization, that actors and campaigns that are going on. So instead of a hypothesis-based hunt, you are now doing a CTI-driven hunt. It makes more sense. It's more aligned to our stack, to our organization, to our crown jewels. Instead of you just like, let me go look for some exposed credentials or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's be more specific. From the vulnerability management team, I can help you prioritize the vulnerabilities based off not only CVSS score and exploitation, but maybe there's actors and adversaries that we're tracking that use specific that are exploiting specific CVEs that are in our organization, in our environment. So that is how we can integrate and help elevate the different teams. We are not there to essentially give them more work. Once again, CTI is there to help them make better decisions. CTI asks, should we expect this storm? Hunters and SOC analysts are always asking, did the storm already hit? Are we affected? What should I be doing? Like, oh my God, we're hit, blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't get in the weeds of that. I'm trying to be as more proactive as possible. So when that thing happens, I like to sit back and be like, I told you so. Like, I told you, like, it was there. I had the information. Here you go. Did you apply it? You set up that rule? Did you use the IOCs? Patty said high fidelity IOCs. Yes, IOCs. I'm gonna pick on that, Patty girl, just a little bit. IOCs, great. IP addresses, all that stuff is great. That is the pyramid. You'll hear this thing called the pyramid of pain. If you don't know what the pyramid of pain is, go look it up. But at the pyramid of pain, right? Those IOCs are what we call ephemeral. They change very quickly. You can get high fidelity IOCs, but a mature organization and a mature security posture, we don't deal with IOCs. We may use them to look for remnants in the org or in the environment, but what we deal with is what we call the MITRE attack framework, or we deal with TTPs, right? The techniques, tactics, and procedures. Why? Because that is the adversary's behavior. Just like Nate, everyone knows his behavior, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, he's gonna be on the TikTok. I know how he's going to behave. I don't have to worry about how his IP address, he puts a VPN and it switches, and then I don't know where Nate's at. But I know his behavior, I know his tendencies, I know his tactics. I know exactly what he's gonna do when he's gonna do it. That is what mature and high, that is what a smart practitioner will deal with. High IOCs is good for, we blocked 500 IP addresses that were malicious. At the end of the day, your leadership doesn't care about that. He cares about the risk. How did we reduce the risk? We didn't reduce the risk by blocking 500 IPs, because 500 more can come from a different adversary. That is what we call vanity metrics. That makes us feel good, like, oh, we blocked all these IP addresses and hashes. No, we want to understand, what is a MITRE attack framework? What are our controls? Map them and identify the detection gaps. Because if we have a gap for a specific technique, then that's a control that we don't have in place. That if that adversary does that, we're hit. Or that is one piece, right? So if we understand, I know I'm cooking right now, Nate. Just let me cook. I hope they taking notes. So let me start speaking now about if the detection isn't there, and let's now go into the adversary's mindset. That is what a true CTI practitioner must know. We must understand and know and think like the adversary. Everyone always asks me, are you a blue team or red team? I'm purple team, white team, black team. I don't know. I know it all. I have to know it all so I can disseminate and talk to it all to a CISO, to a director, to whatever, an architect or an engineer. So then you have to understand the attack life cycle and the concepts. So now you need to understand, you'll hear things like initial access. So you think phishing, you think stolen credentials. So that you have to understand the life cycle or the MITRE attack framework and know where your controls are. IOCs are good, but forget that. We're next level. We need to understand initial access, execution, into persistence, into privilege escalation. Then what are we doing? We're laterally moving through the organization to do what? Get command and control. To do what? Ultimately, data exfiltration. That is the key adversary Yahtzee moment. We want to exfiltrate data. Once we do that, now we go into terms that everyone should probably know on the call: ransomware. That is when ransomware comes into place, right? And all of these double extortion, things like that. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna let you, reset the room. But from a CTI perspective, you need to understand that life cycle and understand where gaps may be in the security posture of your organization.
Yeah, good looking now. Fire content already. A couple people have flooded in. What's up, Danny? Welcome in. Seek Nay, Francium. I see you. B for you. Echo, Shreem, Angelique, Cyber Secrets, showing all that love. I appreciate y'all. If y'all have someone y'all know, what's up, Phil? If y'all have someone y'all know that needs to hear this information, If you know someone that may not even know that they need the information, get this out to them. Get this out to them. Forward it. The more likes that we have, it does push this out to more people. It does reach further. So yeah, man, you said some fire things, bro. You said some fire things. I have a bunch of questions, but it's not all about Nate. It's not the Nate show. I like to involve everyone. So I want you all to request up. For those who have a question, I'm gonna look. I'm gonna take a different approach instead of just letting everyone up and anyone up. I am gonna take a quick look at your profile. If you don't have any posts, if your name looks suspicious, I'm not gonna let you up. Just for the protection of the live, I'm gonna prevent you from coming up. But you can drop information in the chat. So we'll try to do our best. But I have to make sure that I do my best to protect the live. So go ahead, bro. Go ahead and pick it back up.
Yeah, appreciate that. I see y'all in the chat too. Danny, what up? CNA, what up? Shireen, tech support, what up? What's up, X? What you got?
Yeah, just on another note from what you were talking about, another thing people can do to like really get a familiarity with the TTPs and behavioral analytics or analytics of these malware, these IOCs, and so on and so forth, is just get FOSS or stuff from Recorded Future Triage, right?
Yep.
Wonderful platform, and they go through each one of the MITRE attack framework and says, oh, here's the information gathering phase, here's process exploitation, so on and so forth, so they can see what to look out for and what to kind of see in the logs, right? um, but yeah, and on another point for the CTI perspective, um, also going into those chats, as I said earlier, and actively analyzing threat actor comms and threat actor chatter, going in those Telegram groups, going on Dread or dark forums, to where these threat actors are actively talking, communicating, and coordinating these large scale ransomware attacks, exploitation vectors. I mean, Shiny Hunters just recently dropped 25,000 records from Coinbase just yesterday
Yep.
in their chat. So, Shiny Hunters, Scattered Spider, Lapsus, all these guys,
Yep.
they're actively publishing this intel, these breach data in their comms. And, threat actors obviously always do this, right? APTs, No Name 57 just recently hit SCADA systems all across Europe.
Yep.
So that's another thing we need as defenders, to understand the attacker's perspective. No matter if you're a red team or blue team, everybody needs to understand, where these guys are attacking from, what they're attacking, and how they're attacking based off of their own communications. Because they're pretty flamboyant. I don't want to say the other word because, or I don't want to say not flamboyant. They're pretty in your face about it, right?
Yes.
I'm trying to find a synonym for that.
Yeah.
But they're pretty in your face about what they post and how they post it, um, to kind of like brag and all of that stuff, to say, oh yeah, here's what we're doing. I mean, Shiny Hunters just teamed up with Whale Hunters, and they're coordinating into physical operations with organized crime elements.
100%.
And that's another thing. So all of these things coming together, that turns into a hybrid threat landscape that most defenders aren't really prepared for.
Right.
And especially if they do OSINT on the corporation, they find a CEO or CTO or somebody with high ranking credentials. Guess what? They have OSINT on that whole person's family now.
Right.
And they can use that as leverage to then kidnap, extort, so on and so forth, to gain access. That's another
Right.
thing blue team and red team and purple team, whoever, needs to understand to accurately and actively defend against these next generation threats. Not to mention, firmware UEFI loaders, so on and so forth, including with prompt injection and agentic AI exploiting and having agentic AI modifying and doing polymorphic code while
Yep.
it's in the system and process hollowing and so on and so forth. So there's a lot there, but sorry for yapping too much, but
No, no, you're
there was a
good.
lot
You're
of points that
good.
I wanted to touch
You
on.
100%. The fact that you're understanding and know some of these adversaries. For me, as obviously as a CTI practitioner, it warms my soul. You mentioned this group a few times. I'm just gonna speak on them just because they're, you know, just if you're gonna leave this live with someone, this live with something I'm gonna mention, and they've gone by shiny hunters. They've changed their name a few times.
That's the
High
Nigerian
level,
Alliance now.
right? Yeah, they're a what we call a financially motivated data extortion group, right? And their tradecraft, right, essentially is they like to exploit a lot of web application vulnerabilities, credential stuffing, phishing, things of that nature. They're more of a younger group, not group, but younger team. Like their operators are younger, things of that nature. Anyways, so if you don't know, do research on them. They are pretty active as of late. And I would look into that. But I see some questions in the chat I want to answer. Phil asks, dark web a good source for threat intelligence? If you're asking for sources, I'm going to give you basic ones, and then you can dive into others. Now, if I was to say, hey, I need to keep up with what's going on in the threat landscape, some ones I would name. One would be Bleeping Computer. The second one would be The Hacker News. Three would be Dark Reading. Then I would start looking into some reports. So I would look into like the I think it's Verizon, their DBR report, or look into CISA, right? Look into some of their advisories and information that they put out. CISA is the government's cybersecurity and infrastructure security agency, right? Other agencies post different advisories as well, but look into those, and then you can look into obviously the vendor reports: CrowdStrike, Mandiant, Palo Alto. Who else does one? IBM does one. You can look into all of those sources to understand how the landscape is going on. I'm gonna answer some few questions.
There's just
Uh,
a point that I wanted to add on to that for
yeah,
resources. Definitely look at each one of these groups, like the lists of their tactics, TTPs, and just their architecture and their structure. There's a lot of I don't have the resource off the top of my head, but they list all the ransomware, APT, spyware groups, so on and so forth,
yeah,
and they pretty much go into detail about their TTPs, what to look for, all of that, and with each one of these crews' names. Like Mujahideen Cyber Force, they're a new one that's backed by the state of Iran. So, I
yep,
mean, all of these are going to be integrating, and we've seen coalitions between Russian state actors like Z Pentest Alliance, No Name 57, and then now with, Shiny Hunters and Unk, so on and so forth, and
yep.
Cozy Bear. So, I mean,
Cozy
all of
Bear,
these guys are
1828. Yep, yep.
exactly, all of these guys are aligning together to then carry out these larger, more sophisticated attack systems.
One thousand
So
percent.
do your research on all these groups. I mean, actively, like every day, check those sources.
Oh
Hacker
yeah,
News is a wonderful one. VK Underground is phenomenal. I
yep.
always recommend VK Underground. And check Dread. Just make a Dread account if you know how to use Tor and if you know how to get on that stuff. Well, obviously using Tails, Who all that stuff. But check those feeds every day. Make that a daily habit to go on Dread, check each one of the feeds, check actor comms, uh, all of that stuff to see new campaigns, new threat matrices, and all that stuff.
1000%. I saw Seek name in the chat asks what are some tools, I think it was. What are some common CTI tools these days? So let's think from, I'm gonna break it down from a what we call TIPS, which is a threat intelligence platform. So there's some tips out there. Once again, I'm not, there's tips from vendors like Recorded Future, right? That's a tip that I think was mentioned earlier. There's also an Anomaly. There's Threat Connect. There's Mandiant. There's there's many tips out there. And what the tip is, think of the tip as like, think of it like the SIM, where in a tip we have all of our intel, our different feeds, were some alerts, right? CTI works with alerts as well, based off the assets or information that is put within the tip for monitoring. What are we scanning the deep, dark, and clear web for that is relevant for our organization? That will be in the tip, the threat intelligence platform. And those are some of the vendors that, I almost forgot the open source one. OpenCTI. OpenCTI is an open source threat intelligence platform. If you want to understand and get your hands dirty and do some work, you can use OpenCTI. Now, from a open source intelligence perspective, some tools that are out there that are free. Some CTI analysts will leverage tools like VirusTotal or a tool like Shodan, passive DNS platforms, Maltego, Census. There's different tools that are out there that a CTI analyst will use to do some open source intelligence on certain things, right? And then obviously CTI collaborates and uses the log and detection platforms. So think about your Splunk, your Sentinel, your Elastic, CrowdStrike, Microsoft Defender. We have to be able to see and maybe use not only external intel, but internal intel. What are we seeing within the logs? What trends are we seeing? What campaigns from phishing that the SOC analysts are triaging every day? What can we grab from that, right? Clipnail, yup. Shadow Drag, yup. Thank you, X. Yeah. So those are some other tools. And then even collaborating and reporting tools. Think of your Confluence, your SharePoint, your Jira, ServiceNow. CTI uses all of these different tools as well. And then if you want to like go next level, then we're using Python, right? We're automating enrichment. We're using basic scripting. Maybe you guys may have heard of what's it called? Jupyter books, right? Jupyter notebooks. Those are tools that we have in our arsenal as well that we leverage. And then at the end, I'm gonna two more things I want to cover before we leave tonight, Nate, is I know there's people on the call like, how do I get into CTI? Docs Rapid7. Yeah, Rapid7, that's another vendor. So think your vulnerability management scanners and things like that, but they also have a CTI function. So I'm gonna make sure people know some of the skills and career paths, transferable roles, and I'm gonna give some projects. I'm gonna get some projects that they need to do that they can do. So I will say from some non-technical transferable roles. Everyone in the chat, right? If you're like, man, I want to be a CTI analyst, but maybe I'm not super technical or blah, 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 blah. I don't know how to script or be in the command line and I don't know how to do anything, right? Boom. People in CTI have backgrounds in research analysis. People in CTI come from risk and governance. They have to be able to disseminate and talk about impact and risk. People in CTI come from journalism. Why? We write reports. People in CTI come from law enforcement. They come from financial crime, so think fraud. Those are transferable roles that work well in CTI, right? Now, soft skills. Think obviously critical thinking. think filtering noise, being able to be comfortable speaking with ambiguity, like not knowing something, but be able to speak in specific lingo. So think, all right, a cyber. I wouldn't say a cyber attack is about to hit us. That's not how I would communicate with any stakeholder. I would say, with moderate confidence, this attack could impact us within the next 30 days. Do you see how the communication and how I speak can be how common is GX CTI? Yo, so sorry, Phil just derailed me, but it's common for practitioners who are at a company who will pay for it. I'm just saying straight up, if you get a SANS cert, a SANS cert is $8,000. No way how you slice it. If you have $8,000 to pay for a cert, then kudos. Will I say most CTI practitioners that I know have that cert? Yes, but they got that through their company, and I don't even have that cert yet. I'm still fighting to be like, hey, I want to get that cert, but like, it's a very expensive cert, and there's only like 2 or 3 certs that you can get that's relevant to CTI. There's not a whole bunch of certs. There's not a whole bunch of this thing. It's like the GIAC one that Phil mentioned, and then EC Council has a CTI cert as well. Those are like the ones that are held to a holy grail, right? So I was talking about the soft skills really quick. So basically, critical thinking, comfortable speaking with ambiguity, being able to filter through the noise, and one of the biggest ones, right? The one I pride myself on the most, and one I practice the most, is executive communication. Being able to communicate with executives, because that is what's going to elevate you not only in CTI but any role. Can you take all the cool stuff that you care about? I'm telling you, y'all are gonna love and be in the command line. I built this Python and this script and did all that, blah 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 blah. If you cannot communicate this to your leader in a way that understands that is going to either reduce our risk, save us money, or yeah, because they're creating new roles called BISO. Yeah, exactly. Dana just put it right there. She just nailed on the head. A BISO. You have to understand the business. Always remember that, chat. If you're not going to take anything from this throughout your career and when you want to progress, you need to understand not only the cyber function and your role, but how does it affect the business, no matter what your role is. If you're a SOC analyst, an engineer, an architect, how are you bettering the business? Because the business is what's going to pay you. That's what people get stuck, and they're like, man, I'm the best SOC analyst ever. Cool. How are you communicating that to the leaders so they know that you are reducing the risk for the organization? What is separating you from all the other great SOC analysts in the world? Are you communicating that correctly? So that is one that I stress people to be able to learn, is to communicate. Take all of that technical jargon, the MITRE ATT&CK, this technique, all of that, to make the leader understand in a sentence or two why it's important. I just was telling a colleague that today. I was like, man, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, another thing, just for the report angle, I would look at the CIA's framework for how they do their reports, for like the formatting and everything, because that usually gets it across, pretty squared away, pretty fast, and all that stuff. At least for when I did, cyber int for government contractors and stuff. Just a little bit of my background, but I used that framework, and it translated directly to these private investigators, these people that I was working with, to for them to better understand what exactly was going on, what TTPs we caught, so on and so forth. The CIA's framework and their formatting is really good. I mean, you can even ask AI to, give you a template Don't ask AI to write it for you, of course, unless it's like self-hosted. And even then, be very, very wary of what you do with AI. But that's just another thing, just something that could help translate to executive understanding. Obviously having an executive summary and everything like that in your report to better translate the key details and the key points from your research and from your information to executives and stuff. Sorry for
Yeah,
interrupting. I just had a really good point that I wanted to get across.
No, you're good.
it's fire.
You're 100%.
Hit,
You're good.
hit us with some projects, bro. Hit us with some projects. We need to. You laid some solid foundation. You've both layered in some really good tooling and concepts and principles that we need to go get educated on. Let's say we have that. Let's say we were putting that into our regimen. What are some projects that we should be looking to adopt and try to figure out?
100%. And I'm gonna answer your question, Phil, about the skills gap. So I would say project number one, right? I would what would I do? What would I do? I would probably hmm. I would create what we like a threat actor baseball card or a threat actor profile, right? Pick 5 threat actors and understand their motivation, targets, initial access, techniques, infrastructures that they use, and then use a tool called Attack Navigator, right? And then map defensive monitoring around that, and then layer those techniques against that attack, that MITRE ATT&CK navigator, and see where the gaps are, and then write detections based off of those attacks or those techniques, right? That would be one high level project that I would do, right? Let me give a better one. One basic one, right? This is an easy one. You should be able to create a blog on Medium or use LinkedIn, leverage LinkedIn, right? And any pick an industry, right? And any campaign that is relevant to that industry, write a summary, call your blog Nate Butler Explains Cyber Threats, get a campaign, summarize it, summarize the threat or the campaign, assess the exposure. So also pick an industry or a sector, assess the exposure, give recommended action, and then assign a risk level and confidence, right? That is something you can do, right? Another project you can do, right? Let's do vulnerability prioritization. So track 7 or 10, or just do 3. Do 3 what we call 0-day vulnerabilities. And then assess within the information, is it actively being exploited? Pick a sector. Your company X in this sector. Is there active exploitation for that specific vulnerability in our sector? What is the exposure likelihood? What is the impact severity? And what is the detection coverage, right? And then frame it in a bluff or however reporting style you would like that makes sense. And then how would you disseminate that to a stakeholder, right? Which would be the vulnerability management team. Learn how to write risk. Okay, and then I want to answer what Phil's question. So his question was boom, 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 boom. Is there much of a skill gap between SOC and CTI, you would say? I would say yes. And the reason why is because there's this concept. I don't know why, but a SOC skill set is technical, right? While a CTI skill stack or skill set is more analytical. Now, people are dangerous in both, like I would say myself, but the overall function from CTI is more analytical. while the SOC is more technical. From a SOC standpoint, and correct me if I'm wrong, SOC analysts, right? You have to understand a SIM and the querying behind a SIM. So you have to understand log analysis. You have to understand endpoint triage, alert validation, basic attack mapping, and you have to understand playbook execution and IR containment procedures. You have to understand, and a lot of your patterns are reactive. You are never going out there like, yeah, I'm about to find this alert before it happens. No, that is not your function. While a CTI skill stack, we're adversary campaign tracking. We are called what we call TTP, techniques, tactics, and procedure clustering. We are looking for attribution. We are understanding and looking for infrastructure pivoting within the adversary. We are doing executive briefing. We are interfacing with people who are about to press the button on something, right? So our skills are different, right? So like, and this is my last point. While the SOC would say something like this PowerShell spawned this specific, .exe, a CTI analyst would say this specific PowerShell matches Fin7 intrusion tradecraft in our sector that we've seen in this quarter. Do you see how it's different and how we communicate and how we look at different things? And I would say the biggest like skill gap is getting the SOC analyst to be more analytical thinking and more getting out of the reactive standpoint and taking a lot of the internal data that they have at their disposal and get more proactive. Are you seeing the trends? Are you building dashboards to see, hey, maybe these two domains or IP addresses are relevant? Are they coming from a specific campaign that is like that is how a SOC analyst has to start thinking to get more equipped. Because when you start doing that, here's a cheat code for everyone who's a SOC analyst and gets stuck in that. Once you get out of that, then you start getting into the threat hunter mindset. Now you get that itch to be like, damn, I want to go look for that thing that I think is there, but it's not in an alert because all SOC analysts work is in the alert. But if I can get outside of the alert and go look proactively, now you are turning into a threat hunter.
That's fire, bro. That's fire. And let me jump in here, y'all. Cyber Seekers, I think maybe had a question. I think we need to get Cyber Seekers' question out. We'll do some last words, and we need more time with you. But out of respect of your time, we are going to try and get you out of here, bro. Go ahead, Cyber Seekers, with your question, or is it the same one that's in the chat?
Yeah, it was the same one that was in the chat. Just like, earlier you were talking about how CTI interacts with these different parts of the security program, and I was curious to hear a walkthrough if possible. I know we're at the end. Maybe it can wait, but like, how do you go from hearing about something like ClickFix or hearing about Shai Hulud and then going, hey, we need to do an awareness campaign or we need to scan for XYZ, the threat hunting that you're maybe you kind of just already talked about it or answered it before, but that was my question.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just make sure I understand the question right. Like, how do we report on that, or like, what would a potential day look like for me if that was relevant to us? Is that the question?
Yeah, just the life cycle of like, yeah, how do you get that information? How do you put it out? Then how do other teams like take that and increase the posture of the organization?
Okay. So this is what I would do first, right? Remember, we have to always ask ourselves questions first. So the minute I see that, I'm saying which threat groups that are relevant to us that I'm potentially tracking already are using or adopting ClickFix, right? Are there any associated ransomware affiliates that do that? Is it specifically targeting our sector? Are we seeing a lot of it through the SOC? And then I'm like, okay, what is ClickFix then? So luckily, I understand and know what that is. ClickFix is a form of social engineering, right? It's an execution type of technique. So that could be used leveraging like capture prompts. It could be fake browsers, and it could be, PowerShell execution, stuff like that. So once I understand, I could go many ways with that. If I want to be proactive, I could take that information, package it up, and then go and say, boom, I want to work with the security awareness team. Security awareness will now either do what we call phishing simulations based off some intel that I pulled of examples. They could then go, or I can work with security awareness to brief a specific department or departments within the organization and say, hey, we're seeing a campaign of ClickFix and this variant or Shah-Halud or all these different type of techniques and malware and stuff like that. And I can get ahead of that proactively and say, hey, this is what you need to look for. Be on the lookout for this. Then I can also take that information and then now work with our email security, work with our SOC and say, hey, here are some of the variants or IOCs that you could be looking out for. Let's get ahead of that and do some macro blocking. We can work with our email security gateways. There's many things we can do in that front. But that's how it would work. From a ClickFix and a Shah-Halud, I'm being proactive and letting the teams, the stakeholders, right, that interface with that the most and get ahead of that and let them know what's going on.
Man, it's fire, man. It's a lot. It's a lot happening, but it sounds very exciting for especially someone like yourself that like is interested and has grown into it. And all I see, CTI as a service, bro. See it in your future. CTI as a service, compliance as a service. Everyone goes to these conferences these days. That's all they talk about these days. CTI as a service, and your face is written all over it. And I appreciate you coming through, chatting with us a little bit, dropping nuggets and spreading the gems all over the place. And everyone, thank you for participating and coming up and layering in more information, asking questions, participating. That's how we're going to grow. Nigel, thank you. Can we get some final words? Do you have some time for some final words for us, bro?
Yeah, 100%. So everyone in the chat right now, this is the most important thing. This is the most important thing, right? Everything that I've learned and I've applied is by doing. Intelligence, actually, let me say this again. Life doesn't reward intelligence. It rewards action. Everything that I've learned, I've applied and went and did and failed, did and succeed. So if you've taken notes or take notes in the future from all these other lives, write it down and go apply it. Don't just take it in and be like, oh yes, I'm taking all this information, I feel smart. No, in that time where you're by yourself and it's quiet, go learn and do it. That is why I was able to get where I'm at and will continue to go. I don't just take in information. Being smart and doing nothing is dumb. Doing stuff, failing, and then actually doing it again until you get it right is smart. So don't be the smart person in the room just sitting there being like, man, I'm smart, but I'm not going to say or do anything about it. Like, then you're just there. I apply what I've learned and continue to apply and test it and do it. That is the biggest thing, not only in cybersecurity, but in life. So just remember, as you're learning and joining these lives, go apply it, build the lab, write the blog, post to LinkedIn, retweet, comment, your billboard. We talk about it. Nate and I talk about it, billboard. If you're going to put all your trust in your resume and be like, I'm applying everywhere, no one's responding. Who are you? What skills do you have compared to the landscape? There are people 10 times smarter than me that I interface with every day that if I went to the same role with them, I have to compete. But what is the main thing that's important that you must remember? It's not always what you know, it's who you know. So if you are able to put yourself out there, go make it happen. Nothing is stopping you. Nothing but space and opportunity. Just do it.
Ain't nothing to it but to do it, y'all. Put yourself out there. Get uncomfortable. Nigel, thanks, bro, for coming through, man. And you're a friendly. You're welcome back anytime. You know, you've been here since the real start of a lot of this. And I would actually say that you contributed to the where we are now, how we even got here, with your your attendance, your participation, your love for the game, and your contribution to helping folks out. So if you don't know, Nigel does go live on his end, but he does something different than what I do. He gets way more practical, from mock interviews to practicing questions down to looking at LinkedIn's, and not just what I do on LinkedIn's, or not. Phil does this LinkedIn as well review. Nigel takes another link. He won't even add you if you don't have a certain level.
Facts.
Like
Facts.
if you're not doing what you need to
Facts.
do, there's some criteria that he's looking for, that if you're not executing, you're not even getting the approval to be on the network with him. So and if you
It's
look at his,
important.
he has like 100+ people waiting to be on his LinkedIn. So it says something about his protection of the people he surrounds himself by. It says something about the prestige and the level of the type of people that he surrounds himself by. It's important that you surround yourself by people that you want to be like, that you want to help build up. So I implore everyone to follow Nigel. And like he just said, not only just follow him, see what he's talking about. Take those notes. Take it outside of here and actually do something about it. And then not only do something about it, but come back and talk about what you
Facts.
did. Talk about what you did, how it helped you or it didn't help you. But don't take the information and just run off into a dark corner and then not ever be heard of again. Come back,
Facts.
build yourself up. We're leaning in. We're here to help, and we're
Facts.
not super
Look,
available. So whenever you do strike, and we do drop you some nuggets, and we're giving you insights, take advantage.
facts.
Take advantage of all
Hey,
that.
really quick. Someone asked. Hey, so I clearly I don't promote it, but there is a link in my bio. I do mentoring/coaching. Now, very important. I do assessments before I take people on. So I don't take on everyone. And as Nate said, I'm serious. The biggest thing that I learned as I elevated is people cannot waste my time. It's not even an option. You will not even get the chance to. So there's a link in my bio, but the main thing in that one is there's podcasts that I've done before. There's free resources on how to understand cybersecurity and things like that. But if you do want to get a hold of me in coaching and mentorship, there's people in here that I mentor already. I see them in the chat. There's a link in there how you can get in there and join my community. So there's a link in my bio. But the most important thing also is show love to Nate. Y'all keep double tapping this live for a little bit. Nate, keep doing what you're doing, man. This is a great thing you're doing. We're gonna make it viral. I'm telling you, it's gonna be on like all the platforms. They'll be like, man, we're gonna get on the news. They're gonna be like, damn, there's this platform on TikTok going crazy, talking about cybersecurity and da 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 da. They've gotten 25,000 people jobs. Like, we're gonna be the new LinkedIn, damn it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hey, you
if
lit.
people will just take the information and go apply it, it's not gonna happen overnight. But if you stay with it, I'm telling you, like, there's no other way. I'm saying there's no other way. You gotta do the work. You gotta do the work.
Got to, and look for accountability partners, and look for us to hold you accountable and hold us accountable. If you're delayed on a
Facts.
message, please reach out, get more information on that message. I know I owe one specific person that's here. I owe you a message. I see you over there. I've life been life, and I haven't got my feet up under me. So there's a lot of movement, and look, y'all, we look forward to catching y'all next time. Thank you for all the gifts, the love, the hearts, all that, and we'll see you next time. See you next time.
Peace.